UFC 147, Silva versus Franklin 2 here on Organic Dope. Bill Schumer, Dan Littlefield, Rob Hallaman. A card that personally I don't think should be pay-per-view. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. This is a Brazil Tough Finals with a couple decent fights on the main event. $45 worth? What do you think?
No. 20 at best.
I think it should be free TV, honestly. It should be on... I mean, they're playing the Ultimate Fighter Brazil on Fuel. They might as well play all the fights on Fuel.
Do you think that they're banking on Brazilians buying this fight? Because I have a feeling it might be one of the lowest pay-per-view buys.
I think they were banking on Vitor Belfort versus Vanderlei Silva.
Yeah, could they not pull it off pay-per-view late, or what? I don't see anybody paying for this fight.
Well, there's going to be people that pay for it, but it ain't going to be me.
Either way, we're only going to cover Verdum, 15-5, 3-2 in the UFC versus Mike Russo, 16-1, actually 4-0 in the UFC. Verdum is top level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, second degree black belt. He's also black belts in judo and Muay Thai.
I didn't know about that.
Russo is a wrestler, but he's got heavy hands. Do you think he can control him long enough without getting caught in a submission?
I don't think it's going to be a submission unless Russo makes it a ground fight. I think that Fabricio Verdum's going to win on the feet.
You think he's got the better stand-up, too?
He looked awesome against Roy Nelson. I mean, his stand-up looked like it improved so much.
Yeah, Russo, I'm not familiar with him. He's the only people I actually knew of. He fought Todd Duffy in one and John Madsen.
Isn't the Todd Duffy...
Todd Duffy was beating his ass,
right, though. I mean, like, he hit him in, like, with one
third
punch.
round.
And, yeah.
Yeah, TKO in the third round.
Yeah, that was like a comeback fight that he was losing off. Yeah,
I think Joe Rogan said it might have been some of the craziest shit he's ever seen.
Yeah, and it didn't even look like that hard of a punch. It was like, you know, like he just like hit him straight in the face.
You look at Verdum, his record overall, he's lost to Arlovsky in 2007. He beat Gonzaga.
Man, that was a shitty fight.
Which one,
Arlovsky?
Yeah,
might have been one of the worst fights they put on.
He beat Brandon Vera. He lost to Junior Dos Santos in the UFC, and that's when he left the UFC. He had won 2 fights in the UFC, and then he lost to Dos Santos, and then he went to Strikeforce, and he beat Mike Kyle. He beat Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Fedor,
Mike Kyle's not
Overeem.
even a heavyweight. He's just a guy that sometimes fights a heavyweight.
I thought the loss to Overeem, I thought he won that fight. And
Overeem looked horrible in that fight.
That's what I thought. Overeem looked horrible. He
looked like he was so afraid to strike because he was afraid he was going to get taken down. I don't know how. I mean, you don't.
Yeah, I almost think that Verdum outstruck Overeem in that fight.
So do I.
That was such a horrible
fight. To the
fight.
ground also, that's why he lost.
I mean, it wasn't the prettiest looking striking, but it was effective.
Yeah, but look at that striking that Verdum had in that fight compared to the striking he had against Roy Nelson.
Right.
I mean, he looked like a completely different fighter.
I think that does hit the ground. I think maybe Verdum's stand-up looks better. He catches him. Russo goes back to his roots, shoots for the takedown anyway. Probably gets his neck snagged or his arm. Submission early.
Submission, Verdum.
Early submission.
End of the first round, early second round.
I think Verdum wins, but I'm not sure if it's submission. He might just win by, decision on the feet. I don't really think Russo wants to go to the ground with him. I wouldn't want to go. Well, I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert, but I don't think most people want to go to the ground with Verdum.
A fight that I don't think is going to the ground is the main event. Vanderlei Silva, 34-11, 4-6 in the UFC versus Rich Franklin, 28-6, 12-5 in the rematch.
It's a catchweight fight too.
Months.
Yeah, they are fighting at 195, I believe.
Yeah, 195 again.
Because
Franklin's fought that a couple times, hasn't he?
Well, Franklin's been out for a while. Took the fight a little earlier and didn't want to make the weight cut.
He's the king of the catchweight fights.
Probably doesn't make any difference to Vanderlei. He's probably happier not to cut too. So
yeah, I'm agree.
Franklin won the first one by unanimous decision. Definitely unanimous. I think he really did win that fight.
Yeah, I agree.
How long ago was that, though? That was a while.
3 years, maybe.
A few years. But how much does the ring rust matter to Franklin? He hasn't fought since at least last year.
16 months.
Yeah.
And he's 37 now.
I don't know.
How much is that ring rust going to wear on somebody who's 37?
I've been seeing Vanderlei Silva on The Ultimate Fighter Brazil. Man, he looks old. I mean, he might be younger than Franklin, but he's
got a lot of miles on him, though.
He looks like he is in his 40s. I mean, at least mid-40s. He looks old.
He's
got
35.
a lot of miles.
He's 2 years younger than Franklin.
Yeah, he doesn't look it. He looks like
he's got a lot of fights. He's 34-11, but Franklin's got 28 and 6.
Yeah, but I mean, Franklin hasn't taken the damage in his career that Vanderlei has.
He took some pretty good damage against Anderson Silva.
Yeah, but who else is he taking a lot of damage from?
Not a whole lot. No, I agree. Franklin's lost to Forrest Griffin. He beat Chuck Liddell. He lost to Belfort.
Who's got a better chin? Anderson Silva had trouble knocking out Franklin both times they fought, and he took severe knees to the nose, broke his nose, making it backwards looking. Vanderlei Silva's been knocked out how many times in the UFC already?
Yeah, he's been getting caught, but he also took some good shots. When he beat Kung Lee, he took some shots from him before.
Look, he got knocked out by Chris Lieben. I mean, that no one would have ever. If I would have said back in like 2005, Chris Lieben from the Ultimate Fighter 1 is going to knock out the middleweight champion of the world in Pride, he would have been like, "You are the worst person in the world. You should never ever talk again." And that's what's happened.
Yeah.
Wanderlei Silva, you look, he's 3-4 in the UFC, which I thought he had a worse record.
4-6. He had some old fights too.
Okay. Well, recently, I guess he's 3-4. I didn't see those two on there, but he's lost to Dan Henderson, Chuck Liddell, Rampage, Rich Franklin, and Chris Lieben. He's lost some tough guys. He's beat Kung Lee, Michael Bisping, Keith Jardine, and Rampage Jackson twice in the Pride.
I said earlier that Bisping had only lost to 3 people, but yeah, he did lose to Vanderlei, but I didn't think he lost that fight, and once again, neither did he. But he probably always thinks he wins the decisions. But I don't think that was a clear-cut win.
My first thought on the fight was Franklin should be able to take this fight. Mm-hmm. However, watching the fights in Brazil and what goes on down there, the energy in those places for those Brazilians is just off the charts. The Brazilians come out and they fight crazy, like they got something in them. And I think with the ring rust, with Franklin not fighting in so long, and then having to make that travel to Brazil on top of that,
you think being 37 play a part in it too?
Not because he's fighting Vanderlei. No, I don't think the age matters as much. I think more the travel, the ring rust, and that energy in Brazil carries Vanderlei to the win.
I'm picking Franklin. I think that. I think it's going to go pretty much the way it went before, except for I think Franklin will actually get the finish this time. It'll be a 5-round fight, and he'll have more time to actually get the finish. It'll be TKO or knockout, probably knockout, knowing Vanderlei's chin lately. I think ring rust does play a difference, but I think like you said, the energy is going to play a lot, and I think Vanderlei is going to come out very aggressive and wanting to take the fight to him. He's going to make a mistake and get caught. So.
There you go. Rob says Rich Franklin.
And if you want to win, you go with the guy with 41% win rating, right? No, probably not.
Good luck.